The truth is, the people who break you the worst aren't the ones who strike fast, but the ones who hurt you slowly enough that you mistake the pain for love. She didn't notice it at first. The little comments, the subtle distance, the way he started giving less while demanding more. She thought he was just stressed. She thought relationships go through phases. She thought she was the problem. Every night, she waited for some sign of warmth, but the man she loved had slowly become a stranger who lived in the same house. He didn't yell. He didn't hit. He didn't even argue. He just withdrew piece by piece, affection by affection, kindness by kindness, until she was starving for the very things he used to give freely. And when she finally tried to leave, that's when he became sweet again. A sudden apology, a perfectly timed "I miss you," a promise he never intended to keep. And she stayed, believing the bright flashes meant the darkness wasn't real. But that's the thing about psychological harm. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's not a single event you can point to. It's slow erosion, a quiet breaking, the kind of pain you only recognize once you've already fallen apart. Now, let's break down why people hurt you slowly and why you never see it coming, using insights from dark psychology, human behavior, and emotional conditioning. We'll go deep into the patterns, the signs, and the subtle manipulations most people overlook. Psychologists explain that manipulation rarely begins with cruelty, that it begins with inconsistency. Not enough to make you walk away, just enough to keep you guessing. At first, they give you everything: attention, affection, effort. They build trust, they build comfort, they build emotional safety. Then slowly, quietly, they begin to take those things away. A delayed response, an irritated tone, a subtle withdrawal of interest, a little less eye contact, a little less "I love you," a little less of the person they used to be. But never all at once. Behavioral experts say this is a form of intermittent reinforcement, the same principle that keeps people addicted to slot machines. Unpredictable rewards, unpredictable affection, unpredictable love. You don't know when they'll be kind again, so you keep trying. You become emotionally dependent on the good version of them, even though it appears less and less. This is how people lose themselves, not through sudden betrayal, but through gradual starvation. One of the most common dark psychology patterns is what experts call emotional distancing as dominance. It looks like this: they stop sharing, they stop opening up, they stop showing emotion, but they still expect you to show yours. This creates a silent power imbalance. You're emotionally exposed, while they remain closed, distant, unreadable. This distance makes you chase their approval, try harder to please them, over-explain. Your feelings take the blame to keep peace, carry the emotional weight of the relationship, and the more you try, the less they give. Not because they don't understand your needs, but because withholding becomes their way of staying in control. Behavioral experts say distancing works because humans fear emotional abandonment more than physical pain. That fear makes you tolerate what you never should. You never see this kind of hurt coming because it doesn't feel like violence. It feels like silence. And silence doesn't leave bruises, it leaves confusion. Here's one of the most common and most devastating forms of slow psychological harm they make. You believe everything is your fault, not immediately, not forcefully, not obviously, but subtly, gradually, almost gently. They use phrases like, "You're overreacting," "I never said that," "You always assume the worst," "You're being dramatic," "You're too sensitive." Psychologists explain that this is a form of gaslighting, but in its most covert version, the version where they sound calm, rational, and reasonable, while you slowly crumble under self-doubt. You start questioning your memory, your feelings, your instincts, your reality. You apologize when you're the one hurting. You shrink yourself to avoid conflict. You stop speaking up because it never goes the way you hope. And the more you doubt yourself, the more power they gain. This kind of slow harm is dangerous because it steals the one thing you need to walk away, your sense of clarity. When your mind becomes foggy and your emotions become tangled and your confidence dissolves into uncertainty, you stay. Not because you're weak, but because they made you question your strength. Here's a harsh truth. People who hurt you slowly rarely treat you badly all the time. If they did, you'd leave. Instead, they mix pain with moments of tenderness. And those moments are not random. They're strategic, even if unconscious. Behavioral experts say this pattern creates emotional dependence. It works like this. They pull away. Gives you chase. You're about to give up. Gives they suddenly show care. You feel hope. Gives they withdraw again. You blame yourself. Gives they act sweet for a day. The cycle continues. You're not addicted to the relationship. You're addicted to the hope that the good moments will come back. This is why so many people stay in emotionally harmful relationships, not because they're blind, but because the pain is interrupted by just enough softness to confuse the heart. The heart remembers the warmth. The mind remembers the promises. The body remembers the safety that once existed. So you tolerate the cold. You wait for the version of them you fell for, not realizing that version only appears when they fear losing control. One of the darkest psychological truths is this: people don't lose themselves all at once. They lose themselves in pieces. First, you stop speaking up. Then, you stop asking for what you need. Then, you stop expecting anything at all. You shrink. You soften your tone. You make yourself smaller to avoid upsetting them. You give more than you have, just to keep peace. And each time you abandon your own needs to keep the relationship alive. You let a part of yourself die. Psychologists call this identity erosion, a slow, internal unraveling caused by chronic emotional stress. The tragedy is, you don't even recognize the loss happening in real time. You only realize it when something small, something insignificant, suddenly breaks you. A forgotten text, a cold look, a dismissive comment, and you wonder, why did that hurt so much? When did I become this fragile? Where did my old self go? But your old self didn't disappear. It was taken apart slowly by someone who knew exactly how far to push without making you leave. There's a reason slow emotional harm works. Gradual pain hides the pattern. Sudden pain exposes it. If they were cruel on day one, you would notice. If they manipulated you openly, you would resist. If they broke you instantly, you would walk away. But slow harm disguises itself as miscommunication, stress, mood swings, personal flaws, normal relationship problems. The truth becomes foggy. Everything feels complicated. You can't point to a single moment where things went wrong. Behavioral experts explain that this is how psychological manipulation survives. Not through intensity, but through subtlety. Small wounds can go unnoticed. Tiny cuts don't bleed enough to alarm you. Little emotional fractures get dismissed. But over time, they become something far more dangerous. A broken pattern disguised as love. You never see it coming because you're too busy trying to understand them, while they are slowly draining the parts of you that should have protected you. Your voice. Your confidence. Your boundaries. Your self-worth. Gone, one quiet piece at a time. Now, let's talk about you, your healing, your protection, your future relationships, and your emotional safety. After breaking down the psychology behind slow, invisible harm, you deserve clarity, stability, and direction. Here are the life lessons that behavioral experts say are essential if you want to protect your mind and rebuild your sense of self. People can say anything. They can apologize. They can promise change. They can cry and swear and beg and suddenly act sweet when they fear losing you. But patterns never lie. Look at how consistently they show up, how they treat you when they're not trying, how they behave when you stop giving, how your body feels around them. Tense or peaceful psychologists say consistency is the real love language. If their tenderness only appears after conflict, if their kindness only shows when you're pulling away, if their respect only lasts long enough to reset the cycle, then what you're experiencing is not love. It's emotional management designed to keep you available. One of the hardest truths to learn. You don't need permission to protect your peace. Your boundaries are not selfish. They are not dramatic. They are not too much. They are a measuring tool, a way to see who respects you and who only respects what you allow them to take. Behavioral experts explain that emotionally harmful people dislike boundaries because boundaries remove their control. So when you set limits and someone guilt trips you, mock your needs, turns cold or angry, accuses you of being difficult, that is not love being threatened. It is manipulation being exposed. Your boundaries aren't the problem. Their behavior is. Humans have an internal warning system. Your intuition, your body, your emotional signals. When something feels off, your body usually knows long before your mind catches up. Dark psychology works by disconnecting you from those signals, by making you doubt your perceptions. By convincing you the pain isn't that bad. By telling you you're imagining things. But here's the truth. Your discomfort is data. Your confusion is information. Your anxiety is a message. Don't silence it. Listen. Your feelings aren't overreactions. They're indicators. One of the biggest emotional traps is the need to be understood by the person who caused the harm. You try to explain how you feel. You try to reason with them. You try to say it the right way. You hope they'll finally understand your pain. But healing doesn't come from being understood. It comes from understanding yourself. It comes from finally saying, I don't need to convince you. I only need to protect me. Your healing begins the moment you stop negotiating with someone who benefits from your confusion. Closure is a beautiful idea, but in toxic or manipulative relationships, closure rarely exists. You won't get the apology you deserve. You won't get the explanation that makes it make sense. You won't get the moment where they finally admit what they did, because that moment would require accountability. And accountability is the one thing emotionally harmful people avoid. So hear this clearly. You can leave without closure. Your peace is the closure. Your future is the closure. Your freedom is the closure. One day, you will look back and realize something powerful. The person who hurt you slowly was teaching you how to protect yourself quickly. You will learn that your heart isn't fragile. It's resilient. It didn't break because it was weak. It broke because you kept giving love to someone who only knew how to take. But now, you know the signs, you see the patterns, you feel the truth. And the next time someone tries to hurt you quietly, you will walk away loudly. Because awareness is strength, self-respect is armor, and healing is the moment you return to yourself.